Hello, everybody, and welcome to R&R. I'm Angie, and today's practice, we are going to be focusing on the kind of the mid-back and the hips, but really opening up the chest. So if you have a foam roller, and it doesn't have to be this long, it could be a shorter one, foam roller would be great. If you don't worry. I'll give you some other options. So you at least want to have some sort of rolling tool, okay? So if you don't have a foam roller, because we're gonna start with just kind of opening up the chest a little bit, you could also roll up a blanket, you could roll up a yoga mat. So here's where we're going. So it kind of looks like this, or you could also use a yoga block. I'll show you that in just a moment. So the idea is to kind of open up the chest a little bit. Now, I don't like hanging my head back like that. That's too extreme. So that's where I do like to have the yoga block as well, or a pillow or whatever. So it could be this. Could also be, like I said, a blanket. Could also be something like 2 yoga blocks. So I only have one here, but I'm placing it along my spine. And so this is this opportunity to kind of open up the arms and release the head. Okay, if you don't have any of that, that's okay too. You could also use 2 balls. If you have 2 balls, place them right between the kind of the shoulder blades and roll open over that, or just come onto your back and open your arms. So there you go, every possible option. The last option, if you don't have anything, is less about getting you into a back bend and more about just opening your arms and opening the chest. Okay. So let's take just a few breaths here, wherever you're at with whatever you're using, just so that you can find your breath, allow yourself to transition to this practice, and to start to become aware of your body and how it feels today. So it's really important that we notice, how does it feel in the beginning before your practice, so that you can see if what you're doing is making any difference. Okay, one more breath. Okay, let's go ahead and come on up. If you have a foam roller, I'm going to show the foam roller first, but I'm also going to say, if you have 2 balls, they can go right between the shoulder blades, and you can lay over that. Maybe you're already doing that. If you do have a foam roller, we're just beginning to kind of pick up our hips and start to roll along the mid-back. So we can stay here, or we can start to extend the arms and really roll up towards the shoulders and then come on up. And this is a nice movement along the spine. So once again, you might not have a foam roller handy, and that's okay. If you do, enjoy that. And if you just, maybe you just have 1 ball, you could also be on the floor, or you can start to use this to explore any places along the mid-back. So on Monday, we did do some mid-back focus. It will be a little bit different today because we're not going to spend quite so much time there. But I'm just using the ball between my shoulder blade and between my spine. So if you're up against the wall, you can just kind of think of that gully between the spine, between the shoulder blade, and you're just moving up and down. So we're going to do about 5 or so breaths here, doing the one side, then you'll switch to the other side. Those of you with the foam roller, you might continue to roll back and forth a little bit. And you might choose to pause. So if you've got the foam roller and you find a good spot, let yourself kind of hang out there, breathe into it. I always like to kind of shift my weight a little bit to the right and the left. So if I'm finding a good spot, and again, you might be at the wall too. If you are at the wall, go ahead and switch to the other side. So now you're between the shoulder blades on the left or the second side. And we just bend and straighten here. Most important thing, whatever you're choosing to do, whatever tool you are choosing to use, is that you find your breath. If you start to find a spot that is just a little too much and kind of takes your breath away, perhaps maybe pause and just hang out there for a couple of breaths. Okay. So if you're against the wall, let's go ahead and move away from the wall and come back down to the floor. I always like to have two. If you don't have two, that's okay. Foam roller option, number one, if you have it, is to place it underneath your, oopsie, got away from me. You're gonna, I don't know why I went this way. That was kind of a weird way. You can lay down on the floor, then lift your hips, and then place the foam roll underneath. So it's kind of like a supported bridge we do with a block in yoga. So you can go ahead and lift your legs up. So point your knees to the floor or to the ceiling, and then just start to find a gentle rock from side to side. If you don't have a foam roller, you'll take two balls if you have it, one in each glute, or you just have one, place it right in the center of your right cheek. Then you're just gonna start to do some movement. So for those of you that have done this with me for a while, you will know that the glutes are one of my favorite spots to roll. And we often kind of take some time going through this. Right now, I just want you to explore and maybe move 3 or 4 times in one spot, and then pick up the ball and move it to a different spot. And it doesn't even have to be very methodical. So meaning like you move, you can move all around the glute. Just kind of let your body be guided. So you can go around the perimeter, you can go in the center. You're just trying to explore all different spots. And if you are using two, we can keep the hips level, and then we can just kind of wiggle our hips from side to side. The balls do kind of walk out, and then when they do, you reset them in a new spot, moving from the center outward. If you are on the foam roller, just keep rolling. If you're on the ball, there's a lot of managing different tools today. If you're on the foam roller, start to take your knees over to the right. So we're still in that bent knee position, and you're just gonna do small circles. You start to feel more in that right cheek. And then those of you with the rolling on the balls, keep exploring. And then if you can, go ahead and circle the other way. If you find a spot, you wanna go a little deeper, remember we can always drop the knees. If you're on the right side, you'll drop the knees to the right, so you're dropping in the direction of the side that you're working. The deeper drop you go, the more you're gonna feel this, the deeper you'll feel it. Okay. All right, let's bring it back through center. And if you had a ball underneath your bum, go ahead and take it out, or take both out. And then let's move to the left side and start to explore here. If you're doing the foam roller, you can go ahead and drop the knees to the right, find that weight over to the right, take a few breaths. And I like to kind of drop over to the left and back up, over to the left and back up before you do those circles. If you have two balls underneath the glutes, then again, you can work simultaneously again on both sides. And you might find that you get a little bit more warming up of the tissue. And you might find that your tissue is ready to go into a little bit more. So meaning that maybe you want to do those knee drops to the left now. If you're focusing on one side, or you could also even go deeper by letting your knee drop to the side. So think of the same side that you're working on, knees drop that way. You could also start to extend the leg and then bring it back in. So start with the foot on the floor if you're doing this, because this can be rather intense. Keep the foot so it's just dragging in and out. And then the next time that the leg is straightened, if you're feeling like, oh yeah, that feels okay, then you could actually lift and lower the leg. Ooh, that's a little too intense for where I have the ball. You might just place it in a different spot. Be mindful of where we're working too. We are working around or in an area where we have a large nerve, the sciatic nerve. So if ever you feel anything that is painful or kind of zingy, nervy feeling, that is definitely an indication to move away from that, right? Don't keep pushing into that. All right, let's take just a few more on whatever side you're working. Remember, if you're on the foam roller, you can go ahead and do those knee circles. You can also bring your legs up and back down, or you can go from side to side with the legs up through center. Okay, let's go ahead and come off of whatever tool you were using and take a moment to bring your feet down by your hands bound by your feet. And you're standing on your feet and then slowly lift up into bridge pose. So we have nothing underneath the head other than the floor. And we're just lifting the hips up, thinking of this as more of a strengthening for our glutes. So we just rolled them, strengthening for the glutes and for the postural muscles that run up and down the spine. So if you need to roll up and down, feel free to do so. When you take breaks, let your hips come down. And if you're okay with this, let's stay for just 3 more breaths. Really pressing down through the feet, feeling the heels almost like they're sliding towards your bum. Feel your hips lifted so we get some opening on the front of the body, strengthening on the back of the body. And then 1 more. And then nice and slowly, think of lowering down from the upper back to the mid back, letting your spine, your lowest part of the spine, release to the floor last. Once you're all the way down, go ahead and draw your knees into your chest and find a little rock side to side. Now reaching behind your thighs, draw your knees wide. So you're drawing your knees apart a little bit so that the armpits or the knees go to the armpits. And if you want a little bit more, you can walk the hands up the calves to the ankles or even to the feet, drawing the knees down. So we want to find this space between our sacrum and our pelvis. Also noticing the opening of your inner thighs. So we're getting an opening in our hips as well. So we've really focused quite a bit on a lot of different things in this practice. Opening the chest, getting a little bit of stretch in between the shoulder blades, in the glutes, and then opening the hips, taking the feet together, 1 foot down and then the other, and the soles of feet will come together, letting the knees open outward. Let your arms move out to the side. Close your eyes for just 3 breaths. Just take a moment to check in and see how you feel. Let's see if there's anything that has shifted in this very short time. And then slowly straighten one leg and then the other. And just 3 more breaths as we finish our practice together. Let these breaths be a little bit bigger. And then exhale out the mouth. And exhale 2. And last one. All right. Thanks everyone for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. All right. Hope to see you next time. You are welcome.